Brian here. Let me ask you a question. Have you fallen victim to someone telling you what you can or cannot do because of your current circumstances or circumstances from your past? Well, if so, I'm going to give you some valuable information in this training that could possibly help you. So, I grew up without a father in my life, probably since about the age of 3, to the best of my memory. And for most of my formative years, most of my friends grew up without their fathers as well. I did have one friend that had a father, and um, I'll never forget when we were visiting him and it was time for dinner. His parents didn't care if we left the house, but he was going to do dinner and sit down and talk as a family. And that was one of the things that I always admired and it stuck out with me. When you become of age and you kind of start to understand the optics of growing out without a father, it starts to affect you and it starts to become a little more clear as to exactly what those optics are and how they affect you and how people treat you. Some people feel sorry for you and they don't hesitate to state that. And oftentimes people tell you things that you don't expect. And I remember as I got older, more towards middle school, high school, that's when I noticed teachers would tell you that you won't amount to anything. Um, you won't grow up to be a productive citizen in society. And I gotta be honest, most people didn't say it that nicely. So I guess I developed some anger. And it started to become self blame for the situation and my father not being there. And you start wondering if it's you that caused that or not. So your mind goes off into some weird, deep, and dark places. And luckily for me, though, I had an uncle named Carl that either saw something in me or he saw what I was going through or both. And he took the time to speak life into me. And I remember him telling me that computers were going to be the thing of the future and that I needed to pay attention. My grandmother bought me a computer and she sacrificed dearly to buy this computer. And what I noticed is the more time I put in it, the more it was noticed. And my uncle decided to buy pieces of a computer to put together, and he allowed me to do that. That literally changed my life. My mother spent a lot of time working to provide for our family, so I oftentimes would go to my grandmother's house, and she would, on more than one occasion per week, send me to the A.G. Gaston Boys and Girls Club. So there I had socialization with kids my age. I would have the opportunity to shoot pool, play ping pong, that kind of thing. So it was something to keep me out of the streets. But I really started falling in love with computers. And I spent more and more time with my uncle doing things related to computers. And as I started to get good in it and my confidence level went up, and I started to believe in myself and realize that all of the things that people were telling me were wrong and did not necessarily have to be true, it really, really clicked for me. So as I'm starting to build self-esteem, build self-confidence, it opened up my eyes to a host of things. At an early age, in fact, I had to get a permit to work because I started working early. And I wanted to be able to help my mother and provide some things for myself as well. So I eventually started buying my own clothes for school. It was so good that I even became one of the kids that would bring a briefcase to school because my mindset started to change a lot. Then skipping forward past high school, I started to look for more demanding jobs, more jobs that had responsibility and authority with them. I became a store manager for a paging company. In watching this gentleman try to build his business, something clicked inside of me because I had done door-to-door sales before with wholesale products, almost like the Kirby vacuum type thing. That entrepreneur bug hit me really, really hard. I started thinking of things at a different level. I remember asking that store owner what was his bottom dollar cost to get a customer started. From the moment they walked in the door, out the door. What is that bottom dollar cost that we will be obligated to and need to recover? And after getting those numbers, I determined that covering those costs plus a little bit extra with the potential of having a customer come back in 30 days and pay for their service was worth it. So I created a sale at my store. I had no longer been working at the home office. I had been given my own store to open in my area. I started running this promotion, and it got to the point where he had to come over one day and tell me, I had to come and see what you were doing. The numbers that are coming out of this place is crazy, and I don't know what you're doing and how you're doing it. He said, we're not losing money on inventory or anything, so I wanted to figure out what you were doing. It was at that point that I knew that I could be great, regardless of everything that I had been told by teachers, friends, some family. Everything clicked. So I say to you today, you have to, without a doubt, use negative criticism to fuel your fire, fuel your passion. And I look back, I was very careful to attempt to do all the things right. I'm careful who I hung out with. I didn't ride in a car with a lot of people. And I do that to this day. I learned to search for the silver lining in everything. I tried to, instead of dealing with something as a negative, I tried to put a spin on it. When I would think about my father not being in my life, I thought about all the things based on what I had seen up until that point. I thought about how I didn't have to unlearn some of the behaviors that he exhibited, and I didn't have to unlearn some things that I probably hadn't even noticed yet. And I truly believe not having a father in my life made me a better father to my kids. And I strongly believe that. With all my heart, I strongly believe that the desire to break that cycle and not have a child deal with what I dealt with has made me a better father. And I have to be honest, I'm almost 50 years old, and it was within the last 9 years of my life, in talking with a gentleman that was going through a similar situation, and we were talking about the things that we do for our kids, and we were realizing how the life that we try to create for our kids is so different from what we experience, that we really didn't evaluate and close that chapter out for our own lives. It was at that point that we both realized that our fathers, while they weren't there, we both knew without a shadow of a doubt that they wanted to be in our lives, but the circumstances around the adult relationship that they had with our mothers prevented that. But we did realize that he and I both realized that our dad was trying to be there. So, I say again, always look for the silver lining in every situation. You have to decide, am I going to take hold of the victim mindset, or am I going to grasp the victor mindset? You have to decide, because your mindset determines your thoughts that will directly impact your actions. And garbage in, garbage out. I just want to leave that with you. I hope this training has in some way helped you in your own life. And Brian signing off.